A cancer diagnosis can cause a range of emotions and feelings, including anxiety, depression, fear, and sadness.
Sometimes realize there's no way.
You have tuned into Breaking the Mask of Depression with your host, Diva with Depression.
Just waiting back.
Hey everybody, welcome to Breaking the Mask of Depression with me, your host, the Diva with Depression. I hope you guys are all doing well. You know me, every week the COVID numbers are going up. I know a couple of people that are struggling with it, so be careful, guys. We were away last week, and we were in a medical facility. Ain't none of us wore a mask or nothing like that. So, be careful. Just be careful. So, it's still Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, the whole month of July, and we got to highlight, some of the issues that are affecting the Black community. There's many things that we don't talk about, and so for this, I do it every week, like really. But this month, I wanted to bring on a couple of special guests to highlight different forms of mental health, mental illness, different issues that can trigger mental illness, and that way people are aware of the fact that it's normal. If you go through that trauma can trigger depression, anxiety, PTSD, and different things like that. So I want to tell you a Google fact real quick. Blacks are 20% more likely to experience serious psychological problems than whites, and we are the least likely to get help. So if you do nothing else for Mental Health Awareness Month, either find a therapist, go to a support group, journal, do something that's going to help your mental health. So, my next guest, my only guest, is usually behind the scenes for Breaking the Mask of Depression, but I coaxed him out. I'm bringing him to the stage. In April of 2019, he received crushing news that would forever change him and those that loved him. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
So, if you know me, you know how I am with my brothers. I'll cut you. Everybody knows that. It's really funny that everybody knows that. So, Greg is my older brother. And so, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm Greg Coleman. I'm currently a resident of Greensboro, North Carolina, native New Yorker. Lived in Charlotte 11 years before I moved to Greensboro. I'm an IT tech, audio, video, media technician. I'm also a minister of the gospel. I'm a practicing Christian, and my faith is very important in my life.
So you guys know that the F word is my favorite word. And since I'm his baby sister, he knows that the F word is my favorite word. So, he won't be alarmed, even though he's a pastor and I'm a heathen.
You said the Greg, F word. Is that faith? Was that faith? That F word?
Oh, yeah. That's what it is. That's what it is. But thank you for agreeing to do this. Greg is the tech genius behind Breaking the Mask of Depression. And you guys hear me talk about him every single week because, number one, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done this. He encouraged me to start the podcast. And number two, I know shit about technology and editing and all that stuff. So thank goodness for Greg. Now, I know I get the name wrong every week. So now that I have you, please tell us.
The name of the company is Illumination Media and Technology.
Thank you. So, could y'all write that down and tell me next week, what it is?
It's all right.
Um,
You can get it wrong.
I write it the correct way, but I always get tongue tied.
It's a
And
mouthful.
you would think that I don't have it written on every pad that I have and in my book.
It's a
So
mouthful.
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm gonna say a few Google facts. I'll throw in a few Google facts to mix in with your story. Black people are the highest rate for cancer death, even though white people have the highest rate of new cancers. And of course, we are the least likely to get help for anything, God damn it. The United States is the country with the highest rate of cancer. And for most cancers, Black people have the highest death rate and shortest survival rate with cancer. Black women are 41% more likely to die from breast cancer. So you guys can hear that the statistics are pretty bleak, when it comes to cancer. Um, I call it the C word because it's a curse word to me. So, Greg, I said in April of 2019, your journey started. Um,
And it
and
did.
I know how I felt, but I wanted you to tell your story. How did you find out that you had cancer?
So, and I think it kind of coincides with what, some of the statistics that you were given about, you know, blacks as opposed to others, and, the rates of, number one, finding out about their cancer, but getting it treated, seeking help, and then eventually leading to it being fatal. But I was slack. In 2018, I went to a doctor's appointment, and I always had questions about about a thyroid. So my doctor checked my thyroid, and she said my thyroid was good, but something else looks a little weird. But I might need to go to a specialist and get that done. So had a lot going on in my life. About to get married, and um, kind of like we do sometimes, especially black men. We just say, yeah, I'll take care of it, and kept it moving. And a year went by. So I actually, after I got married, a few months after that, got into a slight altercation. And in that altercation, I had an injury to my neck, which brought me back to the doctor. And the doctor said everything was good, but I'm still concerned about that, the what I feel on your neck. And of course, this time my wife was with me, and my doctor said to her, make sure he gets that, looked after. So 3 weeks later, I was in my new doctor now, who said, it looked concerning and referred me to an ENT. That ENT looked at me and immediately said, this does not look good. And, with your permission, I'd like to, biopsy it. So he biopsied it, and a week later, he let me know that it was cancerous. So it was a form of throat cancer, and that's life changing. Nobody, I don't think anybody's prepared for getting that information that you have cancer, and not being knowledgeable on looking into throat cancer and stuff like that. Um, it was life changing, and I'm a married 9 months. We're looking forward to starting our life together, doing this, doing that, and that. You know, my wife wasn't looking forward to living up to those in sickness as and
So
we're
there,
about
so you
about
didn't
to
get like a sore throat or anything, nothing like that.
feel a thing. Nothing felt funny. Now that's two ways. I could have had a symptom that I was ignoring all along and just got
Okay.
so used to it that it just became commonplace. But nothing, it wasn't sore. It wasn't stopping me from doing what I was doing, and it was there.
There are like 5 or 6 forms of throat cancer. Do you remember what yours is?
It was an HPV form of cancer.
Okay, I see
So,
that here.
that in itself, takes on connotations that, I'm like, oh man, what did I do in the past? And of course, I wasn't the most cautious person in relationships in the world. So you just flash back to all types of things. But after reading up on it and, talking to my doctors, it's not necessarily a sexually transmitted form of cancer. They're still really trying to figure out exactly how people come up with that HPV forms of cancer. So
Wow, I'm gonna have to look that up. I remember when I was dating, we won't say his name, years and years ago, and
yeah,
he went to the doctor and found a lump behind his ear, and they had to remove it and biopsy. And so I think that it's common among Black men, but like you said, it's sore throat. Let me drink some tea and I'll be okay, or different things like that. So it's
so
hard to
there's a couple
detect.
of people. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There was a couple of people, of course. So not long after I experienced it, at the time he was the coach of the Redskins. Former Panther coach Ron Rivera came down with the
Oh
same
yeah,
exact type of cancer. If I'm not mistaken, the actor Michael Douglas had a similar type of cancer. So
I
I
think Val Kilmer too. I think that's what Val Kilmer had
think his
also.
was a
Red
lot more
Fox.
severe,
Yeah.
a lot more severe. Yeah,
So what's your initial reaction as you're sitting there?
like of course, why me? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fake it,
Right,
And that kicked in for a while, like why me and why now?
right.
So, um, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. After that, and that why me, why now didn't last for that long because I got a voice, a word to tell me I'm gonna be okay. I'm tougher than this, and he got me. So I got the word very early that God got me, and now we're gonna see how much faith you got. It's easy to
So
talk, and now
yeah,
you're gonna have to live it. So
yeah.
and I'm not gonna front. You got your days. You're going through it. It's inconvenient. You're going through pain. So after I got the analysis, first of all, they had to the remove the nodule. Then I had to make the decision on whether I wanted to take, the chemo and radiation, and I decided to do that. And then I had to have my tonsils taken out. I don't know which was worse.
That
For
hurt.
a grown man, having your tonsils taken out, that was
That
no
shit hurts.
goodness
That was
gracious.
painful.
So I had to have my tonsils taken out. Then I had to have some teeth taken out because the radiation would affect, anything loose in your mouth. So, and all of this, and in anticipation, once that all died down and healed, then you get your mind ready for chemo and radiation. And, I thought I was ready for that, but I wasn't ready.
So April was there with you,
She
your
was
wife.
there with me every step of the way. And if she couldn't be there with me, my sister was there with me,
We'll
and
get
it that it was a combination of all those things. My family was there with me. I got constant, calls and well wishes from my family, people, checking on me constantly. My church family, unbelievable support. And that had everything to do with me being able to get through that without losing my mind, honestly.
So how did you tell us? I don't even know who you told first. I know,
You know,
of course, like everything you held out on me until,
of
the last
course I'm
minute.
going. I'm like, I don't know if my sister's gonna be able to deal with this. I'm always gonna be looking after my little sister, but
And I
um,
remember exactly
I
you were
don't
taking
remember
me
how I told you.
somewhere, huh?
I don't remember how I told you.
We were in the car, and you would take. I forgot where we were going, and you said that you went and you had the test done, and they had to do it and remove the nodule, and you left it at that for a minute, and then you told me.
It was just me
So
and you in the car.
yeah, yeah. So what about like mommy and Butch?
I don't remember whether I told them both at the same time, but individually, it was actually a lot tougher to tell mom. I know how Butch was going to take it. Like, yo, you just gonna have to deal with it, But mommy was hard because I knew, she is like you. She's emotional, and sometimes she looks at the extreme, and I just had to really assure her, and ma, goes to church with me and stuff like that. So, it was all about, I had to stress, look, ma, I'm good. We're going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. God's got me. He told me himself. So I'm good. It's going to be
um,
rough, but I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah.
But I just didn't know how rough.
I talk about Gina all the time,
Mm-hmm.
who passed away the year before with
Mm-hmm.
cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you told me that, I was good in the car, but once you left me, I'm like, holy shit, like, because as soon as you hear cancer, you immediately think the worst, even though
Absolutely.
that there are cases where everything is fine, like yours, but
Mm-hmm.
you hear cancer, you think the worst. And since I had just recently, I mean, that's the only reason why I came back to Charlotte, because of the breakdown after Gina and to be closer to you. So my mind just went everywhere. But once as always with you guys, once I, got settled my mind, I knew, like, all right, well, we're going to go into mom mode now, because I have to, make sure that, I understand what's going on, and da 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 da. And that's what I did, even though I got on people's nerves sometimes. But, um,
And in
so
retrospect, I never really thought about this, but it was in retrospect, it was probably best that I was here in Greensboro as opposed to still being in Charlotte.
yeah, probably.
Just so y'all, because it would. I don't know. I don't know.
But I was
Mommy.
still there, every
Yeah, yeah,
week.
yeah,
And
yeah. But I'm just saying, you didn't. It didn't grate on you
right.
24/7 with me. Being right there. So.
So how do you prepare for I we went for the we were all there for the orientation to
Mhm.
explain the steps that had to be taken, explain, what form of cancer, and the different things like that. In between getting the diagnosis and starting treatment, what's your mental like?
It was it
Listen,
was it
I
was
know that
fragile. It was shaky. It was
I know
shaky.
your faith is strong. I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that. But we're
yeah,
going to put
yeah.
that
But you
aside
gotta,
for a moment.
there's times where you gotta again tap into that. You gotta. We're flesh. We're humans, and
Right.
emotionally, I don't care. You go through it. Because it's still a mystery to me.
Yeah.
It was a mystery at that point. Yeah, people that survive it, but we're used to seeing commercials and shows and stuff like that. But yeah, I had cancer. I was thinking of those guys that those smoking commercials back in the day
Yeah.
that speaking through their throat and missing pieces of their jaw and neck and things like that. So those things are what's flashing through my mind. Yeah, I'll get through it, but what will I look like? What would I
Right.
feel like? What condition will I be in on the other side? And are we going to be able to deal with that? Is my new wife going to accept that? This is not what she signed up for and who she signed up for. And, am I going to be able to work like I did? You know, to be, you know, we got a house to take care of and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
all those things, you know, go through your mind. So it and you hear people say that life is going to be different, but you know, you want the sure thing. Well, how different? How's that going to look? So
right,
yeah,
right. And there's no definite, like it can go whatever
nope,
way,
nope,
and we were you and Mama P were going for treatments at the same time.
yeah,
So I sort of got to see it with you,
yeah.
and she's older, so I got to see it with her.
And let me tell you, if anybody, so and I'm glad you brought that up because yes, my mother-in-law was going through cancer treatments at the same time, had been going through cancer treatments for 16 years of them telling her that this is going to be it, and she took it like a champ every single time. Every single
Right.
time, like it ain't up to them. It ain't up to them. They don't know what they're talking about. All right, we're gonna do what we gotta do. I'll take the medicine, do what we gotta do. And I said one day, I can't be a punk. Look it up. You know what I mean? And that changed the whole ball game in my outlook. Like, look, well, you know, if mom can go through this, then I'm going through it. You know, whatever. And I gotta go through it like, you know, like a big boy.
You got to put on your big boy
Yeah,
underwear, your
I gotta,
Spider-Man underwear.
you know the same. You can't be no punk. You know, can't let this thing punk you. You know where we from.
Yeah,
Know what I
that's
mean?
right, Brooklyn.
Shoot.
Um, okay, so you know what's funny is that you ringing the bell is what popped up in my Facebook memories today.
Oh, get
And
out of here.
well, last night, and I watched it, and I'm not gonna tell you that I cried again. I think I cry every single time I watch it
Sis, it
because
popped up. Is it been 5 years since then? Is that what
yeah, well,
it was around
2019,
this date? It was the
it was the
17th?
same date. Yeah,
Get
the
out.
16th or the 17th that you rang the
Get
bell.
out.
Yeah.
That's 5 years.
Um.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And and the preparation, and I remember them telling you about the ports and the chemo and the different things like that, and you were trying to be positive through everything. And I know you, so I know that part of the reason why you were acting like that is because of us. You didn't want us to worry, and you didn't want us to, stress or whatever, even though we're going to do it anyway. But I remember your first day of chemo, and you were, oh, I got this. Oh, I don't need this and I don't need that. And, being brave. But towards the end of the treatment, that's when I saw that, number one, this is going to be hell. And number two, my brother's not going to be the same after this. And number three, you're not Superman. Like this is really going to be some shit. And that you have to face it, and you cannot put on a brave front for anybody. You have to lean into this. And so tell us where your mind was on that first day.
It was vulnerable. You know what I mean? And no, you know, no man ever wants to be vulnerable. Like you are totally not in control of nothing. You know what I mean? Because you know we all want to be mucho macho. So man, like you said, you know, you're right. That first chemo was after maybe I don't know whether that came first or the radiation. I think I took the chemo first and the radiation the next day or something
Yeah,
like that. But you know, I wasn't ready. That chemo drained me, and you got to think the transition now after going through the you know the biopsy and the tonsils out. I started this thing off at 215, 220 pounds, way overweight. And now that you know, once everything started, I had already started losing the weight. So you feel that, you almost feel depleted. That chemo wiped me out. I heard a lot about it. They prepare you for it. But, I was just in the initial stages of taking the radiation. And that was the monster. That thing, look, I was not ready for that. And, after the first couple of weeks, it wasn't feeling bad. Now 6 weeks of chemo, after the first couple of weeks, wasn't feeling that bad. But after week 3, I knew the world as it looked changed completely. Because like you said, I got a feeding port put in me, a feeding tube in me, so I can't eat like I used to. And if there's one thing I love to do, we proved that over the weekend.
Yeah.
Over last week. One thing I love to eat. It's culturally, it's part of what I do.
Yeah.
And when you're with the boys, when you go out with the wife, when you're with the family, we look forward. It all centered around eating, and I love to eat. And you can't eat no more. I gotta eat through a tube. That woof. And at first, like I said, over them first 3 weeks, you're saying why? It don't feel that bad. But after week 3, I'd never experienced any pain like that. Like I said, separated shoulders, broken thumbs, ribs, nose. Nothing compares to that pain in your throat.
Yeah. How did what was it like between you and April?
It was hard, and not so much hard between us, because like I said, it was an awakening for me too, because like, how can this woman be as dedicated as she is to me, when she could bail out on this this thing if she wanted to. But not that I ever thought she would, but I'm just to see the toll it took. Now she's working full time, taking care of me and taking care of mom.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it took a lot, and I wasn't easy. Because I said, after you went into 3 and 4, and the pain started, and I gotta get used to the routine of taking this feeding tube and the medication, and I can't sleep like I used to. My throat, neck starting to get sore. Inside, I can't swallow, and miserable. And I'm sure, I made her miserable sometime because I was miserable.
It was definitely being there every week with you and seeing not just you but the people around. That was a thing too. Because I learned how to count the bags of the treatment that people had on their poles, and the more they had, the sadder I got, because that means that this is an aggressive treatment.
But that was the other thing, sis. So when we get, we're sitting in the chemo room, I'm seeing that. Now I said, man, I can't really complain too much. This dude has been here all day. This woman has been here all day, and just braving it up, toughing it out. And they got it a lot worse than I do. So that helped you put it in perspective too. This is bad, Greg, but there's people sitting right in here with you that got a lot worse.
Yeah. I remember that one couple that was across from us, and I forgot that she said that I think it was like his 3rd or 4th time that he was going through these treatments. I think that's what she said. And, of course, April is amazing, to this day. She being a newlywed, so you're newly married, and I don't care how long you were dating, you still don't know each other, as much as you do now, so you're still learning each other. You're still learning quirks and all of these things. And then you have to deal with this. And, I'm grateful that she allowed me to be there with you every day and on the weekends and different things. But she was amazing. But I also had a front row seat to how it affects the people around you.
Mhm.
And if you're like me, which you are, the people around, you worry about the people around you seeing you like that. We were just talking last week about, our uncle, and like the one of the hardest things is us seeing him sick.
Yeah.
And so he worries about that. And you were worried about us seeing you sick. I remember you didn't let me see your feeding port until one day it was an emergency or something like that. And I had to help you with it. And um it's a lot, it's a lot. So
It
I
changes,
think,
it's not just changing my life, but yeah,
yeah,
all the people
everybody
around me
around.
change them too. Yeah.
And you were fortunate that you were at a place that was amazing.
The place,
Not everybody gets that
yeah,
treatment.
definitely.
Not everybody has access to that care, but this
Goodness,
center, they covered everything.
what a
And
blessing. What a
yeah,
blessing.
yeah. And they
Because
were so good
everybody,
with explaining everything to me
yeah,
and letting me be there, be the pain in the ass little sister.
everybody I came in contact with there was just great, supportive.
Awesome.
The
Yeah, they
people
were
that
awesome.
parked the car, the people that
Yeah.
took your name when you came in, that took your temperature, everybody, all of them just, again, amazing.
And guys, it's the Cone Cancer
Cone
Center
Health.
in
Yeah,
Greensboro,
Moses
North
Cone.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Just amazing, and I don't know how everybody's treatment goes and around the world, but I
Yeah.
know that they were awesome. And the great thing that I loved is that they focused on all of us. They didn't just focus on you, how it was affecting you. They made sure that April was okay, that I was okay, that Mama P was okay.
Yeah.
So it made the experience a little better, that you were getting great treatment, but not everybody has access to that type of treatment. And I think that that's part of
Hey,
the
I'm not
reason why
trying to throw them under the bus, but could you imagine me going through that at Brookdale Hospital?
that's what I'm saying. Like, or Kings County, you know what I'm
Hey, I
saying?
ain't trying to hate on y'all. That's where I was born, in Kings County and stuff like that.
But even
Yeah,
here,
totally
I,
different
I
ball.
I don't know if I told you this, probably not. But the psychiatrist has been trying to get me to go inpatient for like 6 months. I mean, she says it every week or whatever.
Yeah,
And
you
I
told me.
keep telling, huh?
Yeah, you told me that.
And I keep telling her no, because I know the quality of care here. Like, no psych ward is the best, but like when I was inpatient in New Jersey, it was a whole different experience compared to how it was here when I first had the breakdown. And just the lack of care that Black people get, and the lack of care that Black people have access to, is a boundary. It's a wall between Black men going to the doctor and getting taken care of, because number one, lots of men don't have the patience, to go through the bullshit, the red tape.
Yeah.
Lots of men are in denial about anything that they're struggling with. And number three, like, why bother? If I'm going to go there to this shitty hospital to get care and I'm not going to get the quality care, I might as well just, forget about it. So thank goodness that you had that type of treatment. One of the things that you mentioned is working, and I know that that was a big thing for you, because you didn't know if you were going to be able to work again, and when you were going to be able to work again. So I was looking up, how a cancer diagnosis affects your mental health. And
Mm.
these are the things that they talk about, that it triggers PTSD, suicidal thoughts, feeling mentally weak and fatigued, and also worrying about, financial issues and working again and being whole again. So when you finished your treatment, what was your, where were you at? You know, after you ring the bell and reality sets in that this is over, how do you move forward?
So that's just it. When I rang that bell, it just started.
Right.
Yeah, the treatments were over, but the worst of what I was going to have to deal with, I didn't know that when I rang the bell, was to come. When I rang that bell that day, I was happy to ring the bell. It was done, but I was wiped out. I could barely talk. My throat was sore on the inside. All of this, you remember, all of this
Yeah.
was burnt up.
Yeah.
It was just, ugh. And that's how I felt. You know, you had no energy. You know, you can't eat nothing. Did I say that once or twice? But it just started because now, you know, you haven't swallowed for 6 weeks, and you've radiation every day bombarding your throat and getting rid of whatever it's trying to get rid of. So you got to go through appointments. You got to learn how, you know, you start eating more, taking more of the feeding stuff, and you got to relearn how to swallow. Who would ever think that you have to relearn how to swallow? The muscles were just totally destroyed. So you got to go through treatment centers, nutrition classes, with the surgeon. You got to go through classes with the oncologist, with the ENT. So it's constant appointments. So you're still not ready. It's not like it's done and I'm going to go back to work. But let me tell you one thing my wife did also. She put something, the carrot at the end of the treatment. She booked a cruise for us for December. And now, you know, your whole time, you know, what you say, it was July 16th or 17th of 2019.
Right.
From that point on, all I'm looking forward to is that cruise.
The cruise, yeah.
You know, now I got something to shoot at. And it takes your mind off and her planning. You know how she plans.
Yeah.
You know, so it was awesome. It kind of took your mind off it a little, but there's still the the day to day. So in that helped. And you know me, I'm worrying about, okay, I'm extremely active in my church, and you know, now what I'm taking my mind off it, I'm trying to jump back in too quick. You know, I got to have something to do.
Right.
And, you know, I'm sure I was bugging them. You know, they were like, I wish he'd just sit home and recover. But I'm bugging them. I even think I went back to church too quick.
You did.
You know, I'm
Too
still,
soon.
I remember, you know, you still have nausea, you know, getting rid of stuff out of your throat. So I'm carrying that bag with me, that blue bag with me, vomit bag, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, I know they were looking at me like, what is he doing here? But I had to do something, you know, something to take my mind off of what the day to day was, something to connect me to how my life was prior to that. And, you know, emotionally, yeah, I'm sure that's a battle.
Plus, you had your sister running behind you with Lysol and plastic and everything else.
But,
because
you know, but like I said, eventually, you know, things started getting better. Things started getting better. So, you know, it really, you know, I always had the attitude, you know, I've had one or two jobs in my life, but I always feel that I'm going to be able to go out and get another. You know what I mean? So it wasn't the uncertainty. Just when I feel strong enough, I'm going to be able to go out and work again. And, you know, I don't remember. I don't remember. Yeah, I think I was on, you know, no, initially I wasn't on temporary disability. So, you know,
it took a while.
That is the pressure of April having to take, you know, the whole shot, you know, but yeah, you want to get back to normal. So it's that, you know, and I never felt like I wasn't going to get back to normal. It was just, how long is it going to take?
Is there a normal after that? You know,
And
are you a changed person? Are you a changed man because of that?
I think, for all intents and purposes, I can't eat everything I used to, but for the most part, I'm back to normal. But like, what is that normal,
Right.
So then you got to jump ahead to after I'm healed, and now I'm feeling like I'm back to normal. I'm ready to go out. We went on the cruise in December. January comes around. I'm starting to plan out where I'm going to work, how I'm going to work, and boom,
COVID.
February 2019. And matter of
2 weeks.
fact, I did start to go back to work. I was doing customer service, which is a little unlike what I did, but
Right.
it was somewhere I can sit down. I just got to talk. And no, I got that all messed up. I was doing the customer service when I got the cancer diagnosis.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but then, when I'm out I was going to start doing
Cable
DoorDash
installation.
and Uber Eats. No, the drive.
Oh, the Uber. Oh, okay.
That way I stay in my car, this, that, and the other, and COVID did. So that shut that down. The doctor, I'm still going to see my oncologist. He said, I wouldn't suggest you get out there because this is something we've never seen before. And he told me specifically, nobody knows. Don't take the chance. My white blood cell count is still down
Right.
to this day, but it was down, really low then. Don't take the chance. Don't expose myself. So now it's back in the house and,
So now, today,
Mhm.
do you ever think do you ever worry? Are you always thinking that it can come back or it's going to come back?
Mm-mm.
Even
I
though they
don't.
say that it's not?
Well, again, I got assurances from the doctors. I went on, I got one more cancer follow-up with my oncologist in January, and, even at the 4-year last January, he's, dude, you're fine. Of course, there's a 1% chance that it could come back up again, but, I think you're good, and again, now we go back to the faith. God told me I'm good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't put any limitations on myself. Go out and do what I do. And I probably still put limitations on myself, but I don't need to. It's not really because of the cancer. Yes, and y'all know, you hear from April all the time. I still have a difficulty sometimes. I get, something caught in my throat. You experience that. And it really only happens when I'm not taking the time chewing my food. Usually I'm running off at the mouth and eating at the same time. And then I get something caught in my throat because I'm not swallowing like I should.
Right.
And even that, though, it's never a life-threatening thing. I can always breathe. It's just you got to get that wedged out of your throat because you can't eat or drink anything else until that's out of there.
Until that's gone, yeah.
That's I consider that really a minor inconvenience on, how it could have been because, I've been involved in programs since then where you're walking other people with cancer through. I've been to programs that were at the cancer center that were designed to help out the patient and the caretaker. So you get to see, and then you're in the room with other people that have what I had, and I'm blessed. I'm like, because, and they're battling through it. They're battling through it. One guy, explained, 10 years after, 12 years after, he can't eat much. He can't taste things. I can taste everything. So, I'm blessed. So no, I don't think about it coming back. I think, we got things planned. There's things I'm supposed to be doing that's not, going to come into an issue. And, me and my wife.
Well, I freak out every time you cough and choke on something. So, but I remember the day before you rang the bell and I was making the sign for you, the conqueror and the warrior sign. And you are because that was a battle, that with Gina, I wasn't in the same state with Gina. So, I was helping her via FaceTime and different things like that. I wasn't there with her, so I didn't experience what was the actual, going through treatments with her. But with you, I was there on the front lines, and you are amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Sorry.
And I'm very proud of you. That's what popped up too. That me saying that I'm very proud of you, because your faith and your strength and how you handled everything, even though you were struggling, you were a champ. Is that April? Is that April?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
mean,
is your wife there now?
she is. She's right here. I don't know if she's ready to be on camera, but she is right here.
Well,
She just walked in. And we just
she
finished saying, just talking about the cancer battle and how instrumental you were in that battle and the recovery. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. So what do you have to say to Black men to encourage them, or, shame them or force them or curse at them, or, whatever you have to do to tell brothers that they need to start getting to the doctor and getting treatments and getting their shit together?
and that's one of the after effects of it is that, I take anything that goes on with the doctor a lot more serious.
Yeah.
So one of the lingering effects of, me going through the cancer treatment is my thyroid. What they were looking for in the first place, it was fine then, but it's not now because of the radiation. So for the rest of my life, I'll be taking, thyroid medication. And again, that's a small, inconvenience, in the grand scheme of things. But we got to take it a lot more serious. I know, our communities and for the most part get overlooked, get underfunded, and things of that nature. But we have to push it. We got to make sure that it's a priority with us, and we can't, because a lot of it ain't the medical industry. A lot of it is our pride and feeling that we're gonna be all right. We'll take care of it, and it's not that bad.
Take some Robitussin. Take some
Yeah,
Tussin. You'll be okay.
Yeah, shoot, I'm swallowing Buckley's but no, we gotta have a relationship with these doctors. And I know, there's things, so many obstacles to that funding, but we gotta take this serious. Whatever there are ways that we get medical care,
Yeah.
we gotta prioritize. And because with not just with with so many forms of cancer, especially prostate cancer. Men, Black
And that is
men,
the highest.
especially.
That is the
Yeah,
highest
but
percentage.
yes, it is an issue. A larger issue within the Black community, but it's a larger issue among men in the first place.
Men, period. Yeah. Yeah.
We got to stay on the grind. I'm working with a guy now. My partner that I work with. He put off his medical care until it got him down. Now you gotta go, and it's gonna cost you more. We got to get serious about this. We got to be serious. We got a legacy to build. We got family to take care of, and they depend on us. So, we got to do it. We can't point the finger. We got to get it done by any means necessary.
So to close it out, is there any one resource that you can suggest for somebody that is going through the cancer battle, a resource that'll help them mentally?
Oh,
And
definitely.
I know what you're going to say. One thing that you're going to say, but and if it is the Bible, no, if it is the Bible, then explain. Just
Because when I say, and I know it's almost, it comes out of people's mouth fast that, your faith, but your faith is your foundation. It's your belief system. And if I believe from the very beginning that God is good and he has nothing but good things for us, we might go through some bad stuff. We're going, there's going to be challenges, but ultimately God wants me happy. He wants me successful. He wants me healthy. Then I believe that. That's my foundation. That's my rock. So even when I'm going through it, I'm going to get better. He's going to guide me through this. And he did, so I got to get my mind where his mind is. And the only way I'm going to do that is to understand what his mind is And that's what brings me back to the Bible all the time. So, but beside that, once you build up your faith, there's wherever you're going to receive your cancer treatment from, there's going to be resources you can tap into. Other people that have gone through this, help groups, and I'm sure if they have a cancer care facility, they also have that, because that helps them, process it from beginning to end. If you got a bunch of people in your cancer center or under treatment, and they're not doing well on the other side, they're not going to continue to come to your cancer center. So you need to process them afterwards. You need to help them through their journey. And that journey could be 10 years down the line. Tap into those things. Talk to the guy next to you, to the guy right of you, that you're going to have access to, that has been through this battle before. And us as people that have been through it before, we got to be willing to help the people that have to go through it. So right. It's the cycle, it's the village.
Well, brother, I thank you for sharing, because this was really important, and I said that I was going to try to highlight Black men this month, and I'm going to try to stick to it. But you are going to help someone, even if it's just one person, by sharing your story and giving them hope. Letting them know, like I talk about my depression and different things like that, but I'm functioning. And so that shows somebody that they can function. And so now you give people hope that it doesn't have to be the end of life type of, atmosphere, that you can push through it, especially with quality care and the right people around you. So I love you so much.
Well, that's where, I'm trying to be like my little sister. That's something I get from my sister, that shares her experiences, so it'll help. And I might have helped a couple of people go through this, but it's nothing compared to the people that you helped. And since you've been sharing and doing this, so I love you, appreciate you, and all strength too.
So guys, I want you to go to my resource page, because on the other side is she's turned into a great friend and a great resource. And she has, her platform is about cancer and treatments, and her experience with it. So that's a wonderful resource that you can get from my resource page. And I will definitely tag her when I start posting this episode. But I want you guys to take one thing away from this. Go check it out. I don't care if it's, your finger is hurting. Go get checked out. You deserve to live a long life. You deserve quality care. And we need all of our men, because you see, the world is a shit show. And so we can't afford to lose any of our men. Thank you for listening to Breaking the Mask of Depression. You guys already know Diva with Depression, all of the social media pages, divawithdepression.com. Please, please, please share this episode, or share all of my episodes, as a matter of fact, so we can get the word out and we can start helping the people in our communities heal. And my techie, what is the name of your company?
Illumination Media and Technology.
Say it again.
On Facebook and Instagram.
Say it again. I think you faded out.
Illumination Media and Technology on the website, Facebook, and Instagram.
Illumination Media and Technology. And I want to, not just because he's my brother.
TikTok too.
Huh?
TikTok.
Did I say it right?
You said what?
Not just because he's my brother, guys, but he knows his shit. He's very, very, amazing with building websites and doing the background work on podcasts. So if you ever need some tech work, Illumination Media and Technology everywhere. Thank you, guys. Stay safe, please. If you have to wear a mask, wear a mask, and stay well and find some peace. And I love you guys. Bye.
Sometimes realize that